Old Hollywood produced more physically enormous stars than any other era in film history. This is not exaggeration or nostalgia. The golden age of cinema, spanning the 1930s through the mid-1960s, generated a concentration of genuinely giant actors that has never been matched. These were men standing 6'5", 6'7", even 7 feet tall. They weighed 250 pounds of natural muscle built from years of manual labor, military service, competitive sports, and real-world physical work. They dominated westerns, sword-and-sandals epics, adventure films, and early television with physical presence that modern Hollywood cannot replicate. Today's action stars rely on personal trainers, carefully monitored diets, CGI enhancement, and pharmaceutical assistance. Old Hollywood giants came from farms where they hauled equipment for 12 hours daily. They came from military backgrounds where survival depended on genuine strength. They emerged from Olympic swimming pools, professional wrestling rings, rodeo circuits, circus performances, and early bodybuilding competitions. Their size was not manufactured in gyms or enhanced by technology. Their mass was authentic, built over decades of physically demanding real-world experience that shaped their frames before they ever stepped in front of a camera. The reasons for this concentration of physical giants are clear and specific. The era's most popular genres demanded commanding physical presence. Westerns required actors who could convincingly handle horses, perform their own stunts, and tower over other men in dusty frontier towns. Sword-and-sandals epics needed performers who looked like actual Greek heroes, not actors pretending to be strong. Adventure films cast men who appeared genuinely dangerous in hand-to-hand combat scenes. Studios deliberately sought larger-than-life bodies to match the mythic tone of American storytelling during cinema's most influential period. This was also the last generation where most men entered Hollywood after building their bodies through necessity rather than choice. They grew up during the Great Depression and World War II, eras that demanded physical labor from nearly every able-bodied man. They worked construction, mined coal, loaded ships, built roads, and served in combat roles that required functional strength. When these men transitioned into acting careers, they brought genuinely intimidating physical presence that no amount of modern gym training can reproduce. Old Hollywood giants were not manufactured products. They were natural phenomena shaped by historical circumstances that will never occur again. The vintage strong actors and enormous classic stars of this period represented the peak of natural physical development in entertainment history. Why old Hollywood bred giants? The Golden Age film industry created unique conditions that naturally attracted and produced physically enormous stars. Understanding why requires examining the era-specific demands, popular genres, and cultural context that made giant actors not just desirable but essential for commercial success. Early filmmaking was brutally physical work that destroyed weaker performers. Actors performed their own stunts because specialized stunt doubles were rare and expensive. Western stars spent 12-hour days on horseback, handling weapons, climbing rock formations, fighting in dusty streets, and enduring dangerous practical effects without safety protocols. Studios valued actors who could withstand this punishment without injury or complaint. A 6'6" actor with naturally broad shoulders and authentic strength was not just visually impressive, he was practically useful. He could handle the physical demands of production schedules that would destroy smaller, less durable performers. This created natural selection where only genuinely tough, physically large men survived long-term careers. The Western genre's absolute dominance during the 1950s and early 1960s created unprecedented demand for large, commanding male bodies. Television Westerns became America's most popular entertainment format, with dozens of shows airing simultaneously during prime time. Gunsmoke, Cheyenne, Wagon Train, Rawhide, The Rifleman, Bonanza, and countless similar programs needed leading men who could fill the screen with intimidating presence. Studios specifically sought tall actors with broad builds who looked natural in cowboy hats and leather vests. The genre's aesthetic required heroes who appeared larger than ordinary men, embodying frontier mythology where physical strength determined survival. This wasn't artistic preference, it was commercial necessity. Audiences expected Western heroes to look like giants. Circus culture and strongman traditions heavily influenced Hollywood casting during this period. Many actors emerged from carnival circuits, Wild West shows, and vaudeville strength acts where physical size was a primary attraction. Studios recognized that audiences responded powerfully to genuine physical spectacle. They hired former circus performers, professional wrestlers, and strongmen who already understood how to use their size for entertainment value. These men knew how to command attention through physical presence alone. This created a direct pipeline from physical performance traditions into mainstream cinema, bringing authentically enormous performers into Hollywood's talent pool. Early sports fame provided another major pathway for giants to enter Hollywood. Olympic athletes, professional football players, heavyweight boxers, and champion swimmers possessed instant name recognition and proven physical capabilities. Studios could market these men as authentic heroes rather than manufactured stars. Their athletic achievements gave credibility to action roles that trained actors couldn't match. More importantly, years of competitive training had built functional mass and genuine strength that looked completely different on screen than gym-sculpted bodies. These athletes brought real-world physical achievements that translated into immediate screen authority. The complete absence of modern bodybuilding chemistry meant all muscle mass was naturally developed through years of consistent work. Actors built their physiques through heavy compound lifting, manual labor, swimming, wrestling, football, and decades of physical activity. Their bodies reflected authentic strength rather than cosmetic enhancement designed purely for appearance. This created a specific aesthetic that audiences recognized as real. When a Golden Age actor stripped to the waist for a fight scene, viewers saw evidence of genuine physical power. Thick backs from years of rowing or farm work, massive chests from manual labor, powerful legs from athletics. The natural physique legends of this era possessed bodies that told stories of real-world strength. Studios maintained deliberate casting bias toward larger-than-life physical specimens throughout the Golden Age. Executives understood that cinema was myth-making, not documentary realism. They wanted actors who embodied idealized masculine archetypes from American folklore and classical mythology. This meant prioritizing height, shoulder width, chest depth, and overall physical scale over acting ability in many cases. Countless enormous men received contracts based almost entirely on their measurements and presence rather than training or experience. This institutional preference for giants shaped the entire era's aesthetic and explains why so many genuinely huge performers dominated screens simultaneously. Hollywood actively hunted for the biggest men available. The Tall Titans. Clint Walker stood 6 feet 6 inches tall with naturally massive shoulders and a chest measurement that required custom wardrobe construction on every production. His physical scale was so extreme that cinematographers had to carefully frame shots to prevent him from completely dwarfing co-stars and making them look weak by comparison. Walker became the star of Cheyenne, one of television's longest-running westerns, purely because his size matched the genre's mythic requirements perfectly. He was not the most skilled actor on the show. He was simply the most physically imposing man available in Hollywood at that time. When Walker appeared in Night of the Grizzly, his size became the film's central visual element. Audiences watched him fill doorframes and tower over average-sized men with genuine shock at his scale. His gentle personality off-screen contrasted dramatically with his intimidating appearance, but Hollywood hired him exclusively for that appearance. He represented the perfect combination of extreme height and natural muscular development that studios crave for Western heroes. James Arness measured 6 feet 7 inches and maintained that towering frame for 20 years as a star of Gunsmoke, making him Hollywood's tallest long-running leading man in television history. Arness served in World War II, developing a strong, athletic build through military training and combat experience that permanently shaped his physique. His size created constant challenges for directors who struggled to frame shots where he didn't completely overwhelm other actors and scenes. Early Gunsmoke episodes deliberately cast shorter performers beside Arness to emphasize his giant status and make Matt Dillon appear larger than life. The show's producers understood that his height was integral to the character, a lawman who could physically dominate any situation through sheer scale alone. Arness never became a major film star partly because his extreme height limited the roles available to him in cinema. Hollywood struggled to find projects where a 6'7" actor made practical sense narratively. Television westerns provided the perfect format for his unique physical gifts, allowing him to tower over the frontier town of Dodge City for 2 decades. Buddy Bear brought 6 feet 7 inches of heavyweight boxer frame to Hollywood, creating one of the most genuinely intimidating physical presences in Golden Age cinema. As the younger brother of heavyweight champion Max Baer, Buddy possessed enormous reach and a fighter's natural power that translated perfectly to screen villainy. His boxing career built real functional strength rather than cosmetic muscle design for display. When Baer appeared opposite average-sized actors, he made them look child-sized through pure-scale comparison that no camera tricks could hide. Studios frequently cast him as imposing antagonists in early fantasy films and comedies where his size provided instant visual impact without requiring dialogue or character development. Baer represented a specific type of giant that Hollywood valued highly, the authentic strongman whose physical capabilities were proven in actual combat sports rather than manufactured for camera purposes. His presence in any scene immediately communicated physical danger. Don Megawin stood 6 feet 7 inches with unusual width for his height, creating a build that looked genuinely massive rather than just tall and lean. He specialized in westerns and creature features, most famously playing the Gill Man on Land in The Creature Walks Among Us, the third film in the Creature from the Black Lagoon series. Megawin's broad frame made him perfect for monster roles because he filled space horizontally as well as vertically, creating an imposing silhouette that terrified audiences. His cowboy build came from real outdoor work rather than gym training, giving him authentic frontier credibility that casting directors specifically wanted for Western productions. Hollywood struggled to use Megawin effectively because his size exceeded what most scripts could accommodate without rewriting significant portions. He represents the many forgotten giants who possess extraordinary physical attributes but couldn't find enough appropriate roles to build major careers. Studios wanted giant actors until they actually had to figure out how to use them in standard productions. Richard Kiel entered Hollywood at 7 feet 1 inch tall, representing the absolute extreme of natural height in film history, and perhaps the tallest leading actor ever employed by major studios. Though his breakout role as Jaws in James Bond films came during the 1970s, Kiel's career began at the tail end of the Golden Age giant phenomenon, when studios still sought physically enormous performers for a visual spectacle. His towering presence made him impossible to use as a conventional leading man in any traditional sense. Studios cast him almost exclusively as intimidating villains or gentle monsters, roles that acknowledged his unusual scale rather than trying to normalize it. Kiel's size was so extreme that normal human interaction became difficult to film convincingly. He marked the end of an era where Hollywood actively sought the tallest possible performers, as his career coincided with the rise of CGI that would soon eliminate the need for physically enormous actors entirely. The Muscle Giants. Reg Park arrived in Hollywood at 6 feet 1 inch and 240 pounds of natural muscle built through heavy compound lifting and old-school training methods that have never been successfully replicated in modern fitness culture. As a 3-time Mr. Universe champion, Park represented the strongest natural actor of the 1950s, with proven competitive achievements. His thick legs, massive chest, and powerful back came from the famous 5x5 training system he popularized. Squats, deadlifts, bench presses, overhead presses, and rows performed with maximum weight for 5 sets of 5 repetitions. Park played Hercules in multiple sword-and-sandals epics, where his physique completely overshadowed every other performer on screen through sheer mass. His size was functional rather than cosmetic. He could actually perform feats of strength his characters claimed, giving his action scenes authentic power that audiences immediately recognized as real. When Park lifted heavy objects on screen, he was genuinely lifting them, not faking movements with lightweight props. Steve Reeves transformed cinema at 6 feet 1 inch and 215 pounds of the most aesthetically perfect natural physique ever captured on film in any era. His Mr. Universe title and symmetrical development made him Hollywood's ideal physical specimen for mythological heroes, requiring classical Greek proportions. Reeves trained with slow, controlled movements, refusing to use cheating reps or momentum to artificially inflate his numbers on exercises. Every pound of muscle on his frame came from years of disciplined, natural lifting without pharmaceutical assistance of any kind. His chest, shoulders, and arms displayed proportions that modern fitness influencers cannot achieve without artificial enhancement. When Reeves appeared as Hercules in the 1958 film that launched the entire sword-and-sandals genre, audiences saw what genuine natural development looked like at its absolute peak. His legacy remains unmatched because no actor since has combined his size, symmetry, and completely natural training methods. Reeves proved that natural bodybuilding could produce screen-worthy physiques that rivaled mythological descriptions of heroes. Gordon Scott brought 6 feet 3 inches of extremely muscular Tarzan physicality to the screen despite never being a competitive bodybuilder or following structured training programs. His enormous lats, thick arms, and powerful chest came from rope climbing, bodyweight training, and functional movement rather than traditional weightlifting in gyms. Scott looked like a bodybuilder without training like one, representing the jungle-built muscle giant aesthetic that the Tarzan role demanded for authenticity. His size appeared wild and untamed rather than gym-refined and polished. When Scott swung through trees and wrestled movie animals in his Tarzan films, his body looked genuinely capable of jungle survival rather than cosmetic display. His natural mass came from athletic movement and outdoor training that built functional strength for real-world application rather than cosmetic display muscle designed purely for appearance. Woody Strode entered Hollywood at 6 feet 4 inches with an NFL player's sculpted chest, huge back, and long, powerful arms that made him look like an actual gladiator from ancient Rome. His performance in Spartacus showcased Olympian proportions built through professional football training rather than bodybuilding routines. Strode's size was athletic and functional, reflecting years of combat on football fields where survival required genuine physical power and explosive strength. His naturally broad shoulders and thick frame gave him commanding screen presence that directors used to represent ultimate masculine strength in historical epics. Strode proved that professional athletes often possess more impressive natural physiques than dedicated bodybuilders because their training focused on performance and winning rather than appearance and aesthetics. His body told the story of real athletic achievement. Mike Henry brought 6 feet 2 inches in linebacker thickness to his role as Tarzan, looking more like a genuine predator than any previous actor who played the part. His NFL career with the Pittsburgh Steelers built thick traps, powerful arms, and a kind of dense muscle mass that comes exclusively from violent physical competition against other elite athletes. Henry's size was intimidating rather than aesthetic or pleasing. He looked genuinely dangerous in fight scenes because his body reflected years of controlled violence on football fields where physical dominance determined success. His Tarzan appeared capable of actually killing jungle threats rather than posing for cameras or performing choreographed movements. Henry represented the athlete-to-actor giant, whose size came from functional necessity rather than cosmetic goals or Hollywood ambitions. Peter Lupus stood 6 feet 4 inches with competition-level natural bodybuilding development and the biggest chest proportions in Golden Age television by measurement. As the star of Mission Impossible, Lupus brought genuine physical culture credentials to mainstream entertainment during its peak popularity. His insanely broad shoulders and thick upper body came from natural competitive training during bodybuilding's pre-enhancement era, when contests were won through training intensity and genetics alone. Lupus maintained his size throughout decades of television work, proving that natural development could be sustained long-term without artificial assistance. He remains one of Hollywood's forgotten muscle giants because his role on Mission Impossible didn't emphasize his physique or require shirtless scenes. Audiences saw him as an actor rather than a bodybuilder, but his measurements exceeded most men who specifically trained for size as their primary goal. Athlete-to-actor giants. Chuck Connor stood 6 feet 5 inches tall as one of the rare dual-sport professional athletes who played both NBA basketball and Major League Baseball before becoming Hollywood's cowboy legend in popular westerns. His athletic career built strong, lean muscle and natural coordination that translated perfectly to western roles requiring horseback riding and action sequences. Connor starred in The Rifleman as a towering frontier hero whose size came from proven athletic achievement rather than manufactured screen presence or acting school training. Studios hired Connor specifically because his sports background gave him instant credibility as a physical performer who could handle demanding action scenes. He could handle weapons naturally, move fluidly during complex action sequences, and project athletic confidence that purely trained actors couldn't replicate convincingly. His dual-sport achievement made him unique among Hollywood giants, representing genuine multi-discipline excellence that translated into powerful screen charisma and authenticity. Buster Crabbe arrived in Hollywood at 6 feet tall with an Olympic swimmer's powerfully broad upper body that made him perfect for adventure roles requiring shirtless heroics. His gold medal victory in the 1932 Olympics and swimming championship titles built enormous lats, thick shoulders, and the kind of functional upper body strength that came from thousands of hours in pools rather than weight rooms. Crabbe played both Flash Gordon and Tarzan, roles that required shirtless display of his aquatic giant physique in nearly every scene. His naturally developed chest and back looked completely different from weight-trained muscle, reflecting the specific physical demands of competitive swimming that built unique proportions. Crabbe proved that water-based athletic training could build Hollywood-level size without ever touching barbells or following bodybuilding programs. Johnny Weissmuller entered cinema at 6 feet 3 inches as a 5-time Olympic gold medalist whose naturally huge lats and ribcage made him most physically authentic Tarzan in film history, according to audience polls. His swimming career built extraordinary upper body development through pure functional training in pools rather than structured gym programs. Weissmuller's size came from genetic gifts enhanced by athletic excellence rather than manufactured gym work or calculated training splits. His chest measurements exceeded most competitive bodybuilders despite never lifting weights as part of any training routine. When Weissmuller appeared shirtless in Tarzan films throughout the 1930s and 1940s, audiences saw what genuine Olympic-level development looked like without artificial enhancement. His physique became the standard against which all future Tarzans were measured, and none have matched his natural combination of size, symmetry, and authentic athletic power. He remains a giant shaped by water rather than iron. Joe Robinson brought 6 feet 2 inches of British professional wrestler thickness to Hollywood as Europe's forgotten muscle superstar who dominated Italian cinema. His wrestling career built powerful legs, a thick upper body, and genuine strongman proportions that Italian sword-and-sandals films showcased perfectly in dozens of productions. Robinson looked like an authentic strongman because he was, one, trained through years of professional wrestling that demanded real functional power rather than choreographed entertainment. His physique differed from American bodybuilders, reflecting European physical culture traditions that prioritize raw strength over aesthetic refinement or symmetrical development. Robinson's Hollywood career remained limited because he worked primarily in European productions that rarely received American distribution, but his natural mass and proven combat experience made him one of the era's most genuinely impressive physical performers. He represented the international giant phenomenon, where European athletes brought their own unique size traditions to cinema. The unknown and forgotten giants. Mike Lane towered at 6 feet 8 inches with professional wrestlers' enormous frame that Hollywood simply didn't know how to use effectively in standard productions. His size exceeded what most scripts could accommodate without major rewrites, leaving him with limited roles in films like The Harder They Fall and various fantasy productions that needed intimidating physical presence. Lane possessed genuine giant status with a physical presence to dominate any scene through scale alone, but studios in the 1950s and 1960s struggled to find consistent work for actors above 6'6" who couldn't fit into normal blocking. His wrestling career proved he had real strength and performance experience in front of crowds, yet Hollywood kept him in supporting roles where his extreme height provided visual novelty rather than leading man opportunities. Lane represents a forgotten giant phenomenon where actors possessed extraordinary physical attributes but couldn't build major careers because their size exceeded industry comfort levels and practical filming capabilities. John Hart brought 6 feet 4 inches and physically imposing natural outdoor strength to his role as the overlooked giant cowboy who replaced Clayton Moore as the Lone Ranger during contract disputes. Hart possessed massive shoulders and the kind of authentic frontier build that came from real ranch work rather than gym training or Hollywood preparation. His size should have made him a major Western star during the genre's peak popularity, but he's remembered primarily as the temporary Lone Ranger who filled in when the original actor demanded better pay. Hart's forgotten status reflects how Hollywood's giant actors often fell victim to timing, typecasting, and studio politics that had nothing to do with their physical capabilities or screen presence. His enormous frame and genuine cowboy credentials made him perfect for leading roles that never materialized consistently enough to build lasting fame or career momentum. Ed Fury stood 6 feet tall, but carried extremely muscular tank-like chest and arms that made him a bodybuilding star in Italian sword-and-sandals films Americans have largely forgotten. His natural competition-level physique appeared in dozens of European Hercules productions, where he showcased genuine muscle mass built without pharmaceutical enhancement during the pre-steroid era. Fury represents the international giant phenomenon, where impressive American physical performers found more consistent work overseas than in Hollywood studios. His thick build and proven bodybuilding background should have made him a golden age muscle icon in American cinema. But he worked primarily in low-budget Italian productions that never received major American distribution or marketing. Fury remains a Hercules star Americans forgot, despite possessing one of the era's most genuinely impressive natural physiques by competition standards. These forgotten giants illustrate why the old Hollywood giant phenomenon was never fully documented or appreciated by film historians. Countless enormous actors moved through Hollywood during the Golden Age without achieving lasting fame or recognition. Some faced limited roles because studios didn't write enough parts for men above 6'5" who couldn't fit into standard productions. Others suffered from typecasting that kept them in villain roles or monster parts, where their faces remained hidden behind makeup. Many got overshadowed by bigger names despite possessing equal or superior physical attributes. The forgotten giants prove that old Hollywood produced far more enormous actors than history remembers, and dozens of genuinely impressive physical performers vanished into obscurity simply because the industry produced more giants than it could effectively use in available productions. What made old Hollywood giants so iconic? Old Hollywood giants possess raw authenticity that cannot be replicated through modern training methods or digital enhancement. Their size came from real-world strength built through manual labor, military service, competitive athletics, and years of physical work that permanently shaped their frames at the skeletal level. When these men appeared on screen, audiences recognized genuine physical power rather than manufactured gym bodies or digital enhancement. Their presence communicated authentic capability. These were men who could actually perform the physical feats their characters claimed, not actors pretending through camera tricks. Their unpolished masculinity reflected an era before fitness became a commercial industry focused on aesthetics over function. They didn't train for Instagram photos or social media validation. They built their bodies through functional necessity, hauling farm equipment in brutal weather, competing in Olympic sports against elite athletes, fighting in heavyweight boxing matches for survival, serving in combat roles where physical strength determined life or death. This created a specific look that modern actors cannot reproduce because contemporary training focuses on appearance rather than real-world physical demands. Golden Age giants look like men who could survive frontier conditions, not men who could pose for magazine covers. The genuine physical danger in Golden Age stunts required authentic strength and durability that separated tough performers from weak ones. These actors performed their own horse falls, fight scenes, rope climbs, and dangerous practical effects without safety protocols or insurance concerns. Their bodies would withstand punishment because they'd spent decades in physically demanding work that built real toughness. Modern actors rely on specialists for anything remotely dangerous, meaning they never develop the same functional resilience or pain tolerance. When Clint Walker fell off horses or Gordon Scott climbed ropes, they were genuinely risking injury without stunt doubles or digital replacement. The complete lack of artificial enhancement culture meant every pound of muscle was earned naturally through years of consistent work. Old Hollywood giants maintained their size year-round because their mass came from decades of consistent physical labor, not temporary training camps before filming specific scenes. Their physiques represented lifetime achievement rather than short-term cosmetic goals, achieved through calculated programs. This authenticity created screen presence that audiences instinctively recognized as real power rather than performance or illusion. When Steve Reeves displayed his physique as Hercules, viewers understood they were seeing genuine natural development at its peak, not artificial enhancement or camera tricks. The era of real giants has ended permanently, and no combination of modern training, digital effects, or casting decisions will ever recreate the authentic physical presence that defined Golden Age cinema when old Hollywood giants, classic Hollywood height legends, and vintage strong actors with real natural muscle dominated the screen. If you found this journey through Hollywood's forgotten titans fascinating, hit that like button, drop a comment telling us which giant impressed you most, and subscribe for more untold stories from the tallest actors in Golden Age film and the massive natural physiques of 1950s action icons. These enormous classic stars who dominated westerns and adventure films represent a lost chapter of cinema history that deserves to be remembered.